Hey, staff. Hope you're having a great day. And man, I just want to take a moment to encourage you, whatever you're doing today, make sure that what you do matters and that it's helping build a healthy church that's growing people in Christ. And when we figure out what it is that matters, then let's dive in and do that in a way that matters. And so I want to say I appreciate every one of you. I know the entire executive team and leadership teams and everybody appreciates what you do, and it makes a difference. Maybe sometimes you don't feel like it matters, but it matters. It makes a difference. So do it in a way that matters, and we're going to see some lives changed. So we're going to jump into a little bit more training on our communication principles and some of the assumptions that we work for. We'll review quickly from the last video that we shared with you. Hopefully some of those thoughts have been getting ingrained in how you're thinking, and it's beginning to affect maybe the way that you communicate. And hopefully we've already seen improvement, but over the next few months we're hoping that to see some drastic improvement in our internal communication. And what we identified week one was that there was some problems in the assumptions that we were working from. And so let me slide over here and get to, we kind of talked about the problem is operating from different assumptions. And that can really cause some breakdowns in communications when you're working from different assumptions. One of those was that, I assume when I share information, that information is being shared on or carried on to other conversations, to other meetings, to other teams. But a lot of people were working from the assumption that when I'm told something, when something is communicated to me, that now I have to keep that confidential and I can't share that until someone tells me. And so what we did is we wanted to get everybody on the same page, and we wanted to flip that assumption and communicate throughout our staff, throughout our campuses, throughout our teams, that what we're going for is now the assumption that we want everyone to work from is that what's shared with me, I can share with others unless otherwise told. What's shared with me, I can share with others unless I'm told otherwise. We also kind of dug on a little deeper into that to clarify that it is the responsibility of the person sharing the information to clarify the level of sensitivity and confidentiality. There are things within our organization and within our teams that we can't share, that we don't need to share. It's not time to share it. And it could hurt people. It could devastate people. So we want to be very sensitive with some of those things. But when I communicate information like that, it is my responsibility to clarify to you, listen, this needs to stay within these boundaries. I'm sharing this with you now, but please keep this confidential. So when I share something confidential, instead of assuming you know it's confidential, I need to tell you it's confidential. Okay? So it is the responsibility of the person sharing the information to clarify the level of sensitivity and confidentiality. So again, one of the things this did was created two-way accountability to where if I communicate to something to you and I clarify that it's confidential and you break confidentiality and share that on, I can hold you accountable because I clearly communicated and set the boundaries of what was to be communicated, what was not to be communicated. But if I come to you and I share something with you and I don't clarify its level of sensitivity or confidentiality, and you do share it, and I come back to you and say, hey, I didn't need that information. Well, now you can hold me accountable because I didn't clarify this was to be confidential, because we are working from an organizational assumption that when something is shared with me, I can share that with others unless I'm told otherwise. So hopefully that is starting to improve a little bit of, again, we've got to have wisdom and we've got to clarify what is to be confidential, what's not. Because sometimes we keep things confidential that don't need to be held confidential. It needs to be shared, and it needs to be shared quickly. And we need to get information to our teams and empower them with the information to make the right decisions, help people in our congregation. So I wanted to jump into another principle that's very simple, not complicated at all, but it's this idea: when in doubt, ask. So if you're in a conversation and someone's telling you something, hey, here's information that I need you to know. If there's something in your mind that says, I wonder if this is confidential, go ahead and ask. Hey, is it okay if I share this information with my team? Is it okay if I share this information with my grow team leader? I feel like maybe the people at the front doors would be empowered with this information. Can I share that with them? If for some reason there's doubt, normally you can discern in a conversation something that's sensitive, something that's confidential. But if there's any doubt, just ask. That helps bring clarification. So yes, it is the responsibility of the person communicating the information, sharing the information, to clarify the level of sensitivity and confidentiality. But if there's any doubt in you, just hey, I want to make sure. I'm assuming that I can share this, but I just want to make sure. And I think that will help again protect confidential information. It will help protect teams and individuals with things that don't need to be shared. So if there's any doubt, just ask. Take that step and say, hey, I want to make sure that I can share this information, because I'm assuming I can because you didn't clarify. That will help. That we're a team. We want to cover each other. So if you're unsure if you can share the information you've received, it's important that you ask for clarification on who you can share the information with. Again, not complicated, just when in doubt, ask. When in doubt, ask. I want to jump into this next one, and this has been a great principle for us to start thinking through. I've tried to start leveraging this thought process. Someone made this comment in a conversation and it just stuck, and honestly I would love to give that person credit, but I honestly don't remember who they were. But we were talking about the problems with internal communication, and someone said, well, we just need to start thinking through the filter of who needs to know what by when. Who needs to know what by when? Who are the people, who are the teams, who are the individuals in the organization that need to know what by when? So when you're in a conversation, when you're in a meeting, and something's being discussed that affects other people, or that, just think through, okay, out of this conversation, out of this meeting, who needs to know what by when? And there's a couple of thoughts here that we can dig into. Who above me? And again, let me take a moment to clarify. We operate on a flat, what we call a flat organization. We operate on the currency of relationship. Yes, we have authority structure, and yes, we have organizational flowcharts. But to depend on our position to make decisions or do things is not the norm. We normally make decisions relationally. And so I apologize for some of the above and beside and below. We don't like those terminologies, but it just helps us paint the picture of, who am I reporting to, who above me, who beside me, and who below me needs to know what I know, and by when do they need to know it. So who above me, who if I'm in a meeting and I think, man, this could affect my campus pastor, man, I need to make sure to let them know this information by this time. If I'm in a location, who beside me, maybe you're the worship team leader and you've got a youth pastor, and you're thinking, okay, I need to let my campus pastor know this by this time, but I also need to let the youth pastor know this by this time. So who above me, who below me, who beside me needs to know what I know, and by when do they need to know it. Who on my campus, who on my campus needs to know this? Who on the central team and who on maybe the executive lead team needs to know what by when. So if we could start thinking through, from all directions of the organization, who needs to know what by when. And we lay out sometimes in a meeting, we've come to a decision, we've stopped and we've had this conversation. Okay, we've made this decision. For example, the rollout of the communication publicly to the making the announcement about no child care at Jubilee. We really tried to think through who needs to know what by when. So that's why there were emails sent out early to the staff, meeting conversations. It kind of dictated the timeline of how we thought, okay, we need to communicate here first. We need to communicate with campus pastors and let them know what we're thinking, get some input, get some feedback. Then from there, once we've solidified that, we need to let the staff know. We need to empower them with information. All of this in a timeline, and we need to let key leaders in our locations know after that. So campus pastors, staff, then key leaders in our locations, and we kind of put this timeline together. And hopefully that was more effective in empowering people with the information they needed to know, so that when the announcement was made public, and questions were brought, hopefully people were empowered with the right information, not caught off guard. Hey, I know about that. Here's how we can help you lead through that. So this is a really powerful principle to think through when it comes to internal communication. Who needs to know what by when? And it puts kind of the dominoes in order, that I've got to knock this communication domino over first before we get here. And so I think that's, again, going to help us improve. I like this one. Share as much as you can as soon as you can. I think a lot of times we sit on information, we leave a meeting, and we forget some of the information that we were supposed to communicate. So I think if we can start operating from this principle, just in, hey, as soon as I can, as much as I can, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to think who needs to know what by when. I'm thinking through all these principles. We've clarified that I can share this. So I'm going to share as much as I can as soon as I can. So we're going to empower people with information as quickly as possible. This next one, simple. It is my job to know before I leave a meeting or a conversation what I need to communicate to who by when. It is my job to know before I leave a meeting or a conversation what I need to communicate to who by when. I think, again, that will help us. All of these are driving us towards clarity and better communication. So when you're in a conversation, when you're in a meeting, we're thinking who needs to know what by when. We're also, okay, it's my responsibility to take this information to this. We are a pretty complex organization. We're spread out over 4 states. A lot of things going on, a lot of different departments and ministry environments, and 13 locations now, 13 campuses now. So it's very important that we really think through our personal responsibilities of how we communicate and when we communicate and to who we communicate. So it's my job to know before I leave a meeting or a conversation what I need to communicate to who by when. Communicate, this is, I think, the last principle. Communicate more than you think you need to. A lot of times we assume, and I'm very guilty of this, we assume that people know what we know. And there's really no way they could know what you know, because they haven't been in the conversations you've been in. They haven't been in the meetings that you've been in. So don't assume that people know what you know. Communicate more than you think you need to. Over communicate. Ask questions. Invite questions. Let people ask, and then communicate. So hopefully this isn't confusing. Hopefully you can take some time and process these principles that will help you. When in doubt, ask. Communicate as much as you can, as soon as you can. Communicate more than you think you need to. And then make sure that you know it's your responsibility when you leave a meeting that you need to know what you need to communicate to who by when. And then that one, just in of itself, I think as an organization, if we can really embrace this one principle, who needs to know what by when, would really help our communication. I know everybody in the organization, in the ministry, wants to communicate well. I think the intention is that we do our best. Hopefully some of these principles that we've put together will help in that, as now we start thinking through this. So email me if you've got questions, seth.swindoll@victorylifechurch.com, and I will make sure to clarify anything that maybe I confused you on. Hopefully, again, the PowerPoint helped, or the Keynote. I'm on a Mac, so I can't say PowerPoint. That's like a cuss word. But Keynote helped and allowed you to see it. Maybe you can scribble those down. We will be emailing this Keynote out so that you can have the slides, have that to review and go over. Maybe you need to have some conversation in your teams. Maybe take 5-10 minutes. Hey, how do we feel like this affects our team? And start ingraining that into your team and throughout our ministry and our organization. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to share with you some thoughts that will hopefully improve the internal communication. Blessed to be a part of this team and this ministry that's truly making a difference around the world. And so we're striving to get better. Excellence, our pursuit of excellence. We want to continue to simplify things. We want to continue to evaluate things. We want to continue to clarify things like communication, and we want to continue to improve. And so we appreciate you helping us as one body, as one ministry, get better at internal communication. Hope you guys have a great day, and I pray blessings on you. And I'm grateful for what you do. And God bless you, and have a great day.